Hello and welcome to week 2 of Devtoberfest. This is our third session today. This is the second Data and AI Thursday of 4 Data and AI Thursdays throughout this October and Devtoberfest. But I said that this morning already. Yeah, just before I forget it, make sure you sign up for the Devtoberfest group in the SAP community. I'm also going to post the link here in a second in the chat so you can take part in the contest and also take the validation tutorial at the end of the day. Yeah, and with that, let me introduce Arthur, who's our speaker today. It's actually the first time I'm speaking to Arthur in English, which is weird because I always think people are different in different languages. So I'm basically meeting Arthur here too. We speak a lot already because we both have the topic of AI as our own topic. Arthur is an AI advocate at SAP. I'm a developer advocate, as most people know, I think. Yeah, so welcome, Arthur. I'm so happy that you're here, and go ahead.
Thank you, and also welcome from my side to this session. As Nora said, I'm from the AI advocacy team, and we are building demos and enablement content within SAP, and that's why also we have an initiative for vibe coding, the latest trends, and I want to show you some tips and tricks how to use it, and also leverage the newest CAP MCP and Fiori MCP server. So I would say let's dive in. Okay. So we use Cline today for our vibe coding tool. But before we jump into Cline, and I want to show you how you can set up AI Core and AI Launchpad in the BTP and then use it with Cline together. So if you have your BTP account set up with the right entitlements, which can be found in the sub-account level, you need to add the following services like the AI Core instance with the extended plan and the Launchpad with the standard plan. And with this, you can go to your global BTP account and use our boosters here. There's one for the sub AI Core. You can start it, and it will create all necessary instances and service keys, which we will see in a moment. This was the first booster. The second one is the Launchpad. So you can provision different models and test it also out in Cline. It's the same. You start it, go through the process, and afterwards you will have the right entitlements and services in your sub account. When I go now here to the sub account, into the instances and subscriptions, you can see the Launchpad is provisioned and then AI Core instance with service keys. And let's create a new one here to show you which credentials we need to actually activate everything. So it's running in progress. Meanwhile, I will also launch the Launchpad, which looks like this. And when the service credentials are created, we can create a connection here and use the different data from here. For example, we need the client ID, which is pasted in here. We need the client secret and the auth URL, which is then this one, the XS URL, and the overall service URL, API URL, which the GenAI app then uses. And with this, we can create a connection, open our resource group, and we see we have the GenAI app here on the side, and see in the model library all available models in the GenAI app. And as you can see, there's Claude for Sonnet, GPT-5, Gemini, and some proprietary models also for ABAP, for example, ABAP CodeStrel. We will use Claude for Sonnet today, and we can go in, deploy it, and it will create a new deployment for us, which we then can use in AI Core. But for now, let me clear this up again. So when we have the model deployed in AI Core, the same we need to do also in Cline. So we go in Visual Studio, we go into the marketplace, install Cline. I have it already installed. And when it's open, it will at first show you that you need to sign up in Cline. This is not necessary to use with AI Core. You just reject this, go to the settings itself. And here you can choose different providers, and we need AI Core. And for this, we have the same client ID, client secret, a base URL, an auth URL. The resource group is pretty important, the default. And then we have different models which we can select. And we go with Claude 4 Sonnet. And this approach will also be easier in the future. The team is currently working on this. And when this is all set up, you have something like this. And before we start, we want also to add the MCP servers. As you maybe saw already, there was an introduction post. We have a UF5, a CAP, and a Fiori MCP server. And if you go into the respective Jitter papers, for example, here the Fiori MCP, there's a documentation how to add it. And you basically copy this, for example, go to Cline and click on this server stack, I would say, to configure. And when you go to configure MCP servers, you have this JSON file. And you can see this is, you paste it here. I have already used it, so I have some auto-approve functionalities. And the same is also for the CAP MCP. If you go to the repository here, they have the documentation there. And you copy and paste it into Cline, like you can see here, and can use it in your project. But before we start with developing something, I wanted to show you some tricks which maybe also is relevant for project managers, product owners, for you to get a better documentation or documents created. And I created, for example, this prompt. I would like to create a concise functional requirements for the following application. I want to build an S4 purchase order management with Cap.js as a backend and Fiori as the front end. And it should be also to perform some actions like approve or direct. And the plan is also to connect it then to a real S4HANA instance in BTP and deploy it there. And it should be output as markdown in the requirements file. So we go into Cline, click on the plus, and start the prompt. And with this, the model now with Claude 4 Sonnet in Cline starts to thinking about it, what makes sense, and we'll create, okay, now it wants to read my file in the docs, which is not necessary, but it found not the functional requirements. But let's see what's created. And it's starting creating requirements, markdown file. Maybe I can in parallel open like this. Unfortunately, I can't scroll, but you see it creates a functional requirement based on this small prompt. If you're even more detailed, you get, of course, better results. This is now for showcase purposes. And now it's generated. We can look through it. It has some core functionalities. Let me open again this. For purchase order details, for the list itself, the approval workflow, some technical requirements like I stated, CAP, Fiori, some integration requirements, BTPs in, and even some user stories, which are always helpful. And as a product owner, for example, I can go through it, look, does it make sense? Should I adjust something? But I think it's a good baseline to maybe work on it and helps me to work faster. Now we can go also for a step further, take this functional requirements and create a product refinement document like this. For example, I prepared here a prompt. You're an expert technical product manager specializing in feature development and creating comprehensive product requirements documents. And this is the task here. And then we paste the functional requirements which we generated. And here are some guidelines how we want the document to be structured. I will share after the session all these prompts in a public repository, so you can also use it. Let's copy this prompt, go in our chat, and create a product requirement document with all these different guidelines. And yeah, it starts to look out through these informations and generating this document. Of course, the success metrics and things like this may be hallucinated. This is something we need to adjust and see if this makes sense. But it's, again, a good basis to work on because we have all these different informations in. As a next step, what is also a general approach in the vibe coding space is you can take this product refinement document and create some tasks or a task list, and then let the AI start coding this. But this is already pretty straightforward, and it's you don't have much power over it because it creates this task and then you need to adjust it. In the example I will show, I will do step-by-step instruction because this delivers also more or better results. You can adjust things, and now it created a product refinement document. Let me open this. Oh, this is the create PRD. And this is the generated product refinement document with goals and objectives. Somehow the preview is lagging. Yeah, it defines also some features and requirements from the functional requirements we have. And some user stories, acceptance criteria, all which could be relevant for this application. So we can also go one step further and say, okay, I'm using GitHub projects, create a project with tasks based on this information. And the same is also true for Jira or every project tool you use. You can just, okay, now it's even want to go into the GitHub itself in the repository. So I forget to say it should create a markdown file because now it's actually using my GitHub CLI to create this. And it also tries to use my private account. So let's cancel this. And it was a bit too ambitious, I would say. Create a GitHub projects MD. But yeah, as you can see, it could also even automate this and create this tasks and plan for you in GitHub automatically. I just want to showcase you this and create a markdown file. And as you can see, it started again. Can I show it here? With some tasks, we can copy and paste into GitHub and adjust based on our needs. I will cancel this for now because I think we have a baseline. Oh, it didn't create a file, but you got the idea. And with this, let's move this here. Let's start with our application itself. So we create a new chat, and the first step is we want to initialize an empty cup project. So we prompt this in Cline. It checks what are the necessary informations here. It knows, okay, CD is in it. It needs to do, and it will execute this also in the terminal here.
Arthur? I think I can't hear you anymore.
Oh, sorry.
Ah, yeah, now
You
it's
hear
better.
me?
Yeah, now I hear you again. Okay,
Oh,
cool.
I was talking. Somehow my microphone muted. Where do I stop?
Like 20 seconds ago.
Okay. Um, I
First, I
guess
thought you were just waiting to show us something, and then I was like, no, there's definitely
no, it
something
was.
missing here.
I just saw the microphone was somehow muted.
Okay.
What I said, yeah, you see the application is generated. It's created some boilerplate code and example UI, like I shown here for the bookshop. And we see also that the task is completed and see these changes. And I think that this one you didn't heard one. So we have some changes. We can review them. So for now, it's fine for me, and I will go on and have an follow-up prompt to create some entities. So the prompt is create entities for purchase order management system and which fields I need for the purchase order and for the purchase order items. And I also want the enums for draft submitted, approved, in process, and want to prompt this. And now it should go on and create these entities in my CAP backend. And you can also see live what is changing. So you can see here is the enum, the purchase orders, the purchase order items, which is generated based on my prompt. And while it's generating, I see also a question. Is there a repo for this tutorial? Yes, I will post this repo after the session in a public GitHub repository, so you can access it and use the prompts or the example.
Yeah, I will link it in the notes after the call. I mean, at some point later.
And yeah, it even created some example data that would be in follow-up prompt, but we will do it anyways in a second. And it always starts the server, checks is everything fine, do we have some errors while compiling it. So if there's some errors, it will go on and try to fix them. And we have again the response. It created the purchase order entities, the enum, and some example data. And we can, of course, go in and see the changes. Now, the next prompt would be, I want also a service to expose this purchase order and purchase order items entities. So let's prompt it so it creates also this catalog service. And meanwhile, sorry. And yeah, as we saw, it created the services. It also starts the service here again and test everything. And it seems like everything looks fine. When we go also into this page, yeah, okay, it's the example page. But as you can see, it also tries to get this example data. And when we try to get this, we get the OData specification also here. And this one should show the example data for for the catalog. Now it found here a parsing error, and as I told, it tries everything out, and if it finds some errors, it tries to fix them. And here again, the task is completed, and we get again an overview what is changed here. In this case, yeah, these two projections and from the service. Now we have some example data, but I want some better data. So I want some purchase order items, which each has 2-3 line items and some realistic vendor names. And let's start it. And it will go now to this DB data folder and create, yeah, it jumps into the purchase orders CSV. and create some better data based on this prompt. Now also some purchase order items for these purchase orders. And as a next step, we can also ask some questions like, show me all the orders. Even though we could go into the API and trigger it ourselves, if someone is not that proficient with CAP, for example, or doing this for learning purposes, we can always ask Cline to support here and do for us some steps or explanations. So let's wait till this data is created. It created the data successfully. And we will do exactly this. We will ask, show me how to fetch all purchase orders. And then we should get like a link localhost 4004, catalog service, etc. And we see it's testing it also here. OData for catalog purchase orders. This is the example link for the data. And it will also respond this in the task completed section in a minute. It's testing also again everything, and yeah, as mentioned, gives you instructions how you can curl it yourself in the terminal, and even more how to use OData at all. So, for example, if we copy this link ourselves, go into the browser, and it's not working because the server is not running. We go back to the browser and see this is the example data we created and is loaded. So as a next step, we have the data, we have the service, we have the entities, and every backend needs also some actions. So let's implement some actions like approve purchase order, submit for approval, or cancel. And after this, we will go into the Fiori MCP server and dive there in how to create an UI for this. So it's generating. There are no further questions. If you have any questions, just paste them in the chat, because we always need to wait a bit till the generation, and I can use the time to answer also your questions on the fly.
I'm honestly surprised how easy it is to set up Cline. I always use GitHub Copilot. And everyone was like, you should try out Cline and just set up Cline. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to set up a new tool right now. And now you did it, and it literally takes like 10 seconds. So
Yeah, so for me, for the first time was also a bit tricky. There's some tricks like the sub extended plan for the launchpad, because if you don't have this, you don't have the Gen AI hub in. But you need a Gen AI hub to deploy the models. So
yeah,
there's
sure.
some tricks.
Okay.
But if everything is set up, you just take the credentials and
Yeah.
it's working.
Cool.
Yeah. And yeah, you see here it's generating the actions now. And before we jump now to the Fiori part, we use the CAP MCP server to validate if this is correct code, because I saw it didn't use the CAP MCP server currently. It's what it's currently doing is it's generating code based on the Claude for Sonnet knowledge and Cline documentations in behind, I guess. So all these requests here are some model specific knowledge, which is pretty good for Claude for Sonnet. Maybe that's also a good remark. Sonnet is really good also with SAP technology. I'm not sure with ABAP, but as CAP is also open source, open source frameworks perform pretty good with LLM generated code. And here it does again a lot of tests. Yeah, it tests all the action like approve the PO, cancel, try to cancel, and does also some diagrams. And let's see what changed. We have changed in the schema, in the cut service for the actions, and then the actions implemented also in the cut service JS. And now, as mentioned, let's ask use cup MCP to validate the actions. And it should now go and use the cup MCP search model tool. As you can see here, which I also have on auto approve. You have really fine granularity here what you want to enable. So if it's not enabled, Cline will always ask, do you want to do this? For demo perspective, I have a lot of auto approve, as I would always jump to the chat and need to approve it. But it's doing what it should do. It use this CDS MCP server, get some response from there, and do a follow-up request. For example, this on action handler Node.js implementation, which it searches in documentation, gets the results, and when we go to the response, it successfully validated this, and it looks like everything was fine because I have no changes. So the generated code itself from the model was pretty good, but this is also a nice thing to check if there's some issues, or if you run into issues, then you can always use cup MCP, CDS MCP to find the issue. And with this, let's try out the Fiori MCP. So use Fiori MCP to create a list report object page for these purchase orders. And now, yeah, it should use the Fiori MCP. Yeah, you can see the list functionality. This is a bit longer process because the documentation is also a bit bigger there. We see also the response. We get functionality details for get generate Fiori UI app. And if everything runs smooth, it should create a new purchase order app here. But it's still executing it. Oh, there's some questions also in the chat. Hello, Alexander. One question, does this mean Cline is accepted, supported by SAP? And what's happening with Joule? Yes, Cline is supported by SAP, and as you can see also, we can use it with AI Core together. It's allowed within SAP. Joule, it doesn't depend on Joule. Joule is within SAP. It's not a coding or AI-assisted coding tool. Joule is more like a business. For business cases, you can also ask different questions. Like we have different agents in there, but I guess you can also try to ask code generation
There's
questions.
Joule for developers, which he just specified. I also missed that in the question because when I think of Joule, I first think of Joule as the assistant. But yes, it's true. There's also Joule for developers, where you can also access certain things and also the ABAP models as well. So it kind of depends on the use case what you use would be
exactly. So it's not replacing Joule for developers. It's I think it's a tool. You need to use the tool for different use cases. What Cline is also pretty good is for frameworks like React. So not sure if Joule for developers, that I didn't test this out. But if you have, for example, React or Node.js backend, then Cline would be also a good option for this. But Joule for developers definitely for ABAP use cases. where the model is trained specifically for this. So let's check what's happening here. It generated some code, added some manifest, and what is also cool in Cline, you see it launches a mini browser in itself and see what's happening there, and also can click around. And like you can see, here's the mouse on the go button. So it's a sort of agentic behavior, I would say, which is pretty nice. And you can also see that, for example, this is the detail screen. Before we had somewhere the list screen, and it testing all these different buttons now. And will hopefully respond with a successful UI. Meanwhile, I'll jump into the question again. Yeah, now I see. And for Joule for developers. Okay.
I have a question if you want to kill time.
Yeah, sure.
In the beginning, when you set up Cline, there was this little toggle box that said orchestration mode. Is that orchestration mode as in using the orchestration service of AI Core, so you have all the models from the orchestration service, or is that something else?
No, it's something else. Orchestration mode is it looks which models, all models are available, and lists you this one. I guess if
When
if I
enabled, provides access to all available models without requiring individual deployments. Okay.
yeah.
So it is basically, you need to have the orchestration service deployed then, though, right? When you want to use that one.
You mean in AI Core itself in the Launchpad? Oh,
Yeah, I mean, that's how it sounds like. When you use orchestration, it uses all the models that are available via
so
orchestration.
so if you run the booster and the launch the AI Core booster with the sub extended plan, the orchestration service is in.
Yeah, deployed by default.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so you have all the models available there. And if you don't want to use the orchestration mode, you can also just deploy single models and use those, right? But then you would have a limited amount of models available.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't definitely, but I guess it's like this, yes.
Okay, well, sounds
But
logical.
but also here said that this will be all simplified, so that at the end we have only one URL, also like we know it
Oh,
from OpenAI, and
okay, cool.
can use it. So this is this all happened via an pull request from a SAP colleague, which does this in Cline, and so the whole story started.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
I didn't
thank you, colleague. I forgot your name, but it was a great job. And you see the Fiori creation is done. Let's see if the service is running. Let's refresh. And I don't see the app here. It's the wrong app. It's not in the, okay. It don't created a new app. In my previous test, it worked, but I will now go on this page exactly, and we see no data, but we need to search here and see then our example data with the Fiori application and some detail screen. But this is not a beautiful screen. So we want to improve this and use some UI annotations like to enhance the purchase order list view. And we want also semantic coloring for the status. So let's prompt it out. And it should create some annotations, which then makes this UI a bit better based on the Fiori guidelines. So, and because one question is often coming is why should I use Cline and not GitHub Copilot? I think there's not definitely, these are two different tools with the same goal. So some like more GitHub because there are also some agent modes or other features. Some more like Cline with the plan and act mode, which I didn't show today, but you can also first plan a task and then act on this. So just different tools and use what you prefer. And yeah, the good thing on Cline is you can use it with AI Core. And while this is generating, we see it testing again in the browser that everything is work. So the filters working. When I first time saw this, I found it pretty crazy because it just clicks around itself.
Yeah, it tested itself, right? That's
Yeah.
cool. Nice. So do you know how to develop Fiori apps, or can you only do this because of the coding assistant? Or did you used to be a Fiori developer?
I used to be a UF5 developer some years ago,
Ah, okay.
but but I couldn't develop this in this time because
Yeah, I mean,
with UF5 and Fiori comes new standards. So all this alone, or this, I don't know, would take me a half hour probably to check
ah, okay.
documentation. And so I think for UF5 developers, or general, you can also create great React applications just faster. It
Yeah,
You just don't need to forget it's more responsible vibe coding. You always need to check the code
yeah,
if everything is correct. I would not just develop it and push it to BTP and hope everything is fine. So you always need to double check the code if everything
yeah,
is
for
good.
sure. Also,
And
sometimes it works, but it doesn't really make sense logically, I think. Like it
yeah,
does compile and you can run it, but when you actually look
yeah,
at it, you're like, hmm.
yeah. And sometimes also it generates just um, not good code or errors. And even if you prompt further resolve this error,
Yeah.
it cannot handle this. So I had this in my test before. Maybe we get also into this. Let's see. But somehow it didn't create the annotations, I guess. That's already. Does that have a new app? No. So like now, it says it fixed the task and did everything, but somehow it didn't work. I can now restart the server. Maybe there's some issues there. And it says okay, the port is already in use. And therefore, let's try to kill the 4004 port. Let's see what happens now. Ah, yeah, okay. So you can see this is now an issue. A non-developer would probably never could fix this, even if he prompted further, because Cline itself didn't fix it. The port was blocked by npm start, and so the UI was blocked. But yeah, I could only fix it because I know what to do. So this is maybe it yeah the tricky part if you're more PM or designer or non-techie and starts to wipe code, you can come to such pitfalls which are costing you a lot of time. But in this case, it worked. It created the annotations. It also created some coloring for the status, and now the detail page is not looking that beautiful. So we want also some Fiori annotations here. And looking at the time, I guess after this I will stop for further questions. Um, or what do you think, Nora?
Yeah, I think we can see if there are more questions and then um yeah, the session
Yeah,
after you
because
is a premiere, not a live one, so we don't really need a lot of time in between. So if you want, you can keep talking, but if you say it's enough, you can also stop. It's up to
no,
you.
okay,
But
okay.
we can have a
I
look at
have
the
I have
questions.
one to follow up. Oh,
I think there,
I have one to.
yeah,
Sorry, I had a
go
lag, I
ahead.
guess. Go first.
No, I just wanted to say right now there are no new questions, but maybe the people that are watching can think of some because
Yeah.
you have us live here. You can ask us any questions, and if we don't know, we will answer them later in the comments. So just ask whatever you want to ask about AI at SAP. You have someone live here right now.
Yes. Ask some questions, and as you can see, we have some time in between while the code is generated. So happy to answer questions. Yeah, I have one to follow up prompts, and then I want also to show you that you can use AI to review also PRs. We will create now a PR from this code and let AI review it. I didn't test it in Cline right now, so it will be a first test. Let's see.
Good. Actually, the other day I was using GitHub Copilot to help me code an AI agent. And the thing is, I think because it's like fairly new, I wanted to actually use an MCP server and I needed an MCP client on my side, right? So that the agent can actually access the tools and stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to use the packages that you find everywhere online because I wanted something like I wanted to create one on my own.
Yeah.
But it just couldn't do it. And I had the craziest fight with Copilot, basically, because it kept saying, like, just hand over the tools. I'm like, but I don't want to hand over the tools. I want to use the MCP server. And we just kept going like back and forth and just didn't do what I wanted it to do. And then it
Yeah.
always tried and then it didn't work. And then it said, let's go back to using the tools. I'm like, no. I fixed it in
Yeah.
the end, but it took forever. So,
What did you use to create the MCP server?
well, the server is from Playwright. So,
Ah,
I just used the MCP Playwright server.
ah,
But to create the client, I actually just went with the LangChain package then and extracted the tools like that and then handed that over to a pre-built LangGraph React agent.
yeah,
So
cool.
that works fine, but it took some time to get there because well, Copilot didn't agree with me. So I
Yeah,
did it on my own.
that's also an issue when it has not enough knowledge about a framework
Yeah,
or something. That's actually when you have such cases, you can copy the documentation and yeah, paste it
yeah, I
into
did
Cline.
that. And then it kept giving me stuff in JavaScript, and I was like, yeah, but I want that in Python. But that somehow, and I don't know, we just couldn't find a common ground there. Just
Maybe I will. I'm
that was
not
funny.
sure if you know this. A lot of documentation sites have now also Markdown. If you put MD in behind, okay, LangChain don't have
Uh,
it. I know from Versal documentation, that they
that would be
had,
cool. So you can paste it easier
yeah,
to an
yeah.
LLM, right?
For
Hmm.
example, okay, they have even now it's
Oh,
here, but
wow. It's even there.
yeah, but if you do it like this, you get the
Nice. Yeah, that is,
Markdown.
yeah, actually I saw that on a lot of other use cases and pages too, that
Yeah,
things are getting more like agent friendly.
yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
But now you see a beautiful purchase order details page generated with Fiori annotations. While we are talking about MCP. Um, now, one thing to use the Fiori MCP. So one step would be now to create the actions. We get the idea of generating code. I want to showcase the Fiori MCP even more. We want to add a flexible column layout so that that we don't need to navigate from here like this, but rather it opens a detail page. It's called flexible column layout. So I prompted this, and it looks again in the Fiori MCP server has an error. Okay, let's see what's the result will be. And oh yes, now we have the approve. You see, if it's not auto approved, you need always to approve it yourself, or instead of auto approve and then approve it, and then it will run automatically next time. So this is also if you start with vibe coding, you get a lot of approve buttons. You start something, then you maybe browse Twitter, go back, and it nothing did because you didn't approved it. So I'm not sure what will be the result right now. I got a lot of errors I saw, but it got also some documentation here. It will create a new UI5 app. Oh, okay, let's see what's happening here. This is new to me. It looks not right. but maybe this is also a good chance to show how we can roll back code. But let's wait. Maybe Cline will surprise me. Okay, deleting also. With the delete comments, you also need to be really cautious. I think I heard from one case where it deleted the root folder of the Mac, and
Ooh.
then nothing works anymore.
Yeah, actually, the agent that I'm building right now also has access to my terminal.
Yeah,
So, but I was like, I tried it out in the beginning, and then at some point it did some stuff, and I was like, just quitting it, just stop, don't do anything anymore. And now I'm just running it in a Docker container because I'm not gonna let it use my
yeah,
terminal blind anymore. So, good point there.
yeah. It also one case where it had access to the local database and production database, and for private project, and it killed in the local database all data and wanted to start with the production one, but I could interfere. So it's these are some really yeah important things which you need to consider. You have also the options to uh, not reject them, to put these comments on a block list. Yeah, block list is the
Ah,
right word.
okay.
So it always asks you if it
Mm,
wants to execute a comment.
yeah.
It looks like that client figured out what to do. I'm now curious how the result will be. We can try to check what is happening here. Loading state. Yeah, but overall, I think for UF5 and especially Fiori development, this is a really great and supportive tool because there are a lot of tricks you can do and manifest you need to configure like here, which are documented, and it just helps. So, and in this case, it's really extensively uses the Fiori MCP server. For example, for FCL routing configuration of the flexible column layout. I don't even know what is FCL routing configuration, but good that we have the documentation and client can do this. It looks like we're getting closer to our result. Yeah.
So does it always use the MCP servers it has available, or is there like a list where you can tick which one to use for which use case or something?
Ah, yeah,
Ah,
this
it's
was
there. Okay.
on the
MCP
beginning.
servers.
You
Ah, okay.
oh, you see, it's even the UF5 MCP server has some. Ah, now I understand. This is also an issue. When you have too much MCP servers, it could be interfere. So I prompted this flexible column layout, and it uses somehow the UF5 MCP server instead of the Fiori MCP.
Ah,
So you
yeah.
can disable it like here, and
Mhm.
then it will be not activated.
Okay.
And you can also see, okay, if there's some error. That's why we saw also the errors in
UI5
the
app just now.
console. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
But now go back here. In the end, it figured out, okay, I need to use the Fiori MCP server,
Yeah.
and it looks like we, yeah, it still don't have the flexible column. I think it it worked now. It created a bug with the UF5 MCP server, and now fixing the issues.
That's why it takes longer.
Yeah, and now I switched to another screen, and the request didn't follow, so I needed to resume it. Um, exactly. So yeah, this takes a bit longer because of this MCP server interference, and Cline checks always does it does it work or not? So there's also some extra waiting time and steps. I hope it don't stuck in a loop. That has loaded. So sometimes when it takes really long, it makes
Well,
sense
it's
to.
testing it, so maybe
Yeah.
it's already there. Huh? Cline using the browser. Perfect. The flexible column layout is working. Well, let's see.
Let's see. I hope.
It's apparently perfect and working.
Yeah, it's not working. It it should open a flexible layout here, but somehow it
But
has
it's
here
also
miss.
not done yet.
But this is also something I didn't show. It plans some tasks which is executed step by step.
Ah, cool. So it's still verifying the behavior.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like I always use GitHub Copilot and it's not that autonomous, I would say. It doesn't work on things that long. It's rather kind of more
Yeah. I
I
know.
don't know. Like an assistant that's like sitting next to you and you just talk back and forth, it's more like that. So you have to do a
Yeah.
lot more yourself.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think also I'm not sure if the Claude models in Copilot, because the Anthropic models, Claude 4, Sonnet, Opus 4.5, they're now new. They're pretty good in this planning. And as I'm using here
Okay.
Claude for Sonnet, it always, if you give it a development task, it starts to plan it. And I'm not sure if Copilot is using this in the background. If you use Claude Code, it always does a task list to plan the
Okay.
tasks.
I mean, I know that I don't know what is the latest model right now because I closed it so that
Yeah.
my MacBook is not running so many things, so I can't check right now. But um, I do have different models. I have Claude and GPT models that I can pick from for sure. But I think I'm still using Claude 4.
Yeah, the latest model is Claude 4.5 Sonnet, which is
Okay.
the best for the day-to-day coding tasks, I would say.
Yeah.
Then Claude 4 Opus or 4.1 Opus is it's a model which thinks more or can even
Mm.
solve more complex tasks. So Claude Code uses both under the hood. It
Oh,
plans with
cool. Okay.
Opus and codes with Sonnet.
Yeah, that's smart. You have another question. Require GitHub repo for this tutorial?
Oh no, it's not required. I just have a GitHub repo to show you to document it. And now, as a last step, I wanted to show um, like a GitHub review. I have here in my docs folder an PR review prompt, and I create just a new chat, paste it here, and it says conduct a detailed pull request review based on the given code changes, and it should highlight newly added features, etc. And now, before it again starts to use my private GitHub CLI, I say store your results in PR review MD. So there's no repository required for this. To use Cline with AI Core, you need the AI Core and AI Launchpad instance, and then you can code it locally. But I would always suggest to use GitHub because you have a code versioning tool, and if something um, yeah, is happening what you don't want, you can always roll back. And yeah, now I forgot also this to show here. After this prompt, I guess you can somewhere as a
Ah, nice. That's the tokens that are being used, right? Up there?
yeah, I think the
Cool.
tokens are correct, but just the pricing is not. So it's
Yeah.
not zero.
Yeah, obviously. Maybe that's not integrated yet. Okay, you have 5 minutes left.
Yeah. So if there are some questions, let's uh, let's tackle this. Else we
I
will
yeah.
see what is happening with the GitHub review.
Don't see any questions right now, but you do the GitHub review and I monitor the chat and I stop you if there's anything.
Sure. So as you can see, it's doing now some Git comments to get the log, the and the commits. And Cline is actually a bit slower than other tools here. So this actually is pretty fast process, I would say. Yeah, I think it reads now all. The problem is maybe it was not the best example because I created a whole application with a lot of files, and now it wants to read everything and create a bigger pull request of it. And I would say that this will take no longer. I will stop this.
Okay.
You have the possibility, you can test it out yourself, create a pull request, give it the prompt, and see what other results are.
Yeah, and you're
Uh,
sharing all your prompts, right? So I can share the GitHub repository later. I'm gonna add it to the description of the session, and then people can just try it out
yeah,
themselves.
I will share this repository. I will create a separate prompt folder with all these prompts and share with you the public GitHub link so everyone can try it out and test it.
Yeah, perfect.
And with this, thank you very much that you joined the session. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have some feedback, you can always ping me. LinkedIn, I guess.
Yeah, LinkedIn is perfect. Or also write comments under the session.
Yeah,
We always monitor the comments on the SAP Developers YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being a speaker, Arthur. I really, really appreciate it. And
thank you.
yeah, make sure you join also the sessions later. There's one on agent framework, so agent to agent and MCP servers. And we have another one later on. Shoot, what was that? Hold on, let me check so that I don't say anything wrong here. Just now, the following session is actually a session by Amazon on Strands agents, so the Strands agent SDK. And then we also have a session with the iOS SDK and how you can implement AI use cases with that. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining, and thank you, Arthur, again. And I wanted to say goodbye, but my camera's not turning on. So anyway, thank you so
Thanks.
much, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.